On the world news, man dies after being hit by hard object during protests in Hong Kong. Two teenage students killed in Santa Clarita, California. Van crash in Iran kills 28 Afghan nationals. A good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us on the World News. I am Daisy Obaisiakmo. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has ordered the immediate posting and redeployment of the following commissioners of police to states as follows: Cross River State, CP Nkiriwem A. Akwam; Akwa Ibom State, CP Kenneth Ebrimson; Ogun State, CP Imohimi D. Edgar; Kano State, CP Habu Sani Amadu; Edo State, CP Lawal Jemita; Bauchi State, CP Philip Suley Maku; and Lagos State, AGCP Odumosu H. Olusegun. The Inspector General of Police charges the newly posted officers to ensure the consolidation and improvement on the gains of their predecessors in the areas of public safety and crime fighting. He also directs the new commissioners of police to work with relevant stakeholders in adopting aggressive, proactive, and community-based crime prevention strategies to combat crime in their areas of responsibility. In addition, the IGP enjoins the citizens of the affected states to accord the commissioners of police maximum cooperation to ensure they succeed in the realization of their mandate. Justice Chioma Nwonsu-Ihieme of the Federal Court of Appeal, Benin, who was kidnapped a few weeks ago and her police orderly killed, has regained freedom. Crime correspondent Wellington Akodaje reports that workers of the Federal Court of Appeal said the news of the release of Justice Chioma Ihieme brought them huge relief.
Justice Chioma Nwonsu, who was kidnapped a few weeks ago by unknown gunmen, was said to have regained freedom on Wednesday evening, though it could not be ascertained whether a ransom was paid or not. Commenting on her release, some of her colleagues, the HOD litigation of the Federal Court of Appeal, Benin, and the protocol officer of the court, Prince Iyoha Oire Mofutaru, said all workers are happy and work going on smoothly following the release of Justice Chioma Nwonsu, who have been in captivity for over 2 weeks. They express appreciation to God for rescuing her.
The office, we were so happy, everybody's jubilating, they're happy that she's alive, she's back to meet her family, meet Court of Appeal as a primary home. So we are very happy. And the other way around too, we are not equally happy because for kidnappers to kidnap me Lord for almost 2 weeks, we are not happy about that situation too. But we thank God that she has been released.
She has been released. She has been released. We are happy that the woman is out. Barely 2 weeks she has been captive, you know, by no government. But we are very happy to receive the news this morning that she has been released. As we said, it is correct. She has been released. We give glory to Almighty Allah.
Some legal practitioners who were in the court to file papers thank God for the release of Justice Chioma Nwonsu, but expressed dismay over the way the kidnappers whisked her away and killed her police orderly.
Whereas it is a very good news to us, the entire episode is an ill wind that blew nobody any good. It shows the porosity of our security system. It shows the weakness that has gone into the security system of this country. If a whole Court of Appeal justice can be kidnapped, taken away, and has spent this length of time, I wonder who is safe in this country.
I join Nigerians and my learned friends in saying welcome to her. My pain mostly goes to the Nigerian police force workers, especially the police who are dying on a daily basis. Like the situation of this Honorable Justice of the Court of Appeal that was kidnapped, and it's so sad that a policeman, a family man who has wife and children, just died like that.
Justice Chioma Nwosu Iheme was kidnapped about 2 weeks ago at Roma Park area of Ikpobahi, and her police orderly was killed in the process by the kidnappers. The Police Public Relations Officer at Edo State Command, DSP Chidi Unwambuzo, could not be reached to comment on the release of Justice Iheme by her doctors. Wellington Hakodeja reporting.
It was celebration at the corporate headquarters of Independent Television and Radio, Glasshouse, Airport Road, Benin City, following the arrival of the 2019 ITV Radio Sambala dating Father Christmas, also known as Father Blessing. Western Bureau reports that management and staff of the station were on hand to accord the Father Christmas a warm reception.
That was the grand entry of the ITV and Radio Sambalideti Father Christmas, also known as Father Blessing, on arrival at the corporate headquarters of Independent Television and Radio, as he was received by the management of the station, led by the general manager, Senior Edogbede Ogunwose. In a speech, the general manager of Independent Television, Senior Edogbede Ogunwose, said, with arrangements put in place by the station, the 2019 Sambalidating for Christmas will no doubt delight members of the community this Yuletide, adding that there will be no dull moment. He called on churches, school proprietors, corporate organizations, and others to book for the ITV Sambalidating for Christmas to make them have a fun-filled Yuletide.
We do this annually to discharge our corporate social responsibility to the society, particularly our immediate environment. I am quite certain that the fun and excitement this year with Sambalidating Father Christmas, aka Father Blessing, will surpass previous years. Considering the fact that children are already waiting as we are talking in schools to have the first hand of our Father Christmas, Father Blessing.
There was musical performance, comedy, and dance competition to entertain the Sambalidating Father Christmas, as winners were presented with prizes.
On behalf of the committee, I present this to you as the first position in that.
Today for this position. God bless you all.
Congratulations. Thank you very much for this wonderful day.
I present this to you, Tony. I hope you'll be motivated and you prepare for next year. Congratulations.
I want to thank everybody for being here today, and also to thank the management and staff of this great institution for giving us the privilege to showcase our talent.
In a remark, the general manager Independent Radio, Pastor Dano Mosusi, thanked the ITV and Radio Sambalidating for Christmas for honoring the station's invitation to put smiles on the faces of the people this festive period.
We cannot thank the Sambalidating for Christmas enough, aka Father Blessing, for honoring our invitation. I want to especially pray for our guests, Sambalidating for Christmas, aka Father Blessing, and the committee in charge of this year Father Christmas show, that God will grant you journey mercies and favor wherever you go. In Jesus' name.
Amen. High point was a special dance by the Sambalidating for Christmas and splashing of gifts to all in attendance. The ITV and Radio Sambalidating for Christmas thereafter departed Glasshouse Airport Road to visit various schools within Benin City to delight school children. Best Mbiere reporting.
The Music Club of the Montessori and Primary Arms Igbenedion Education Center, Benin City, was inaugurated yesterday amidst fanfare. Amezo Bai segment captured highlights of the colorful event, reports that the event could be likened to a musical concert.
It was a festival of music as parents and invited guests were entertained with various performances organized by the Music Club of Igbenedion Education Center, Montessori and Primary School. The pupils, who went through thorough training and prepared for season 1 of the event, showcased their talents.
Learning is made very easy through music, and so the Music Club of Igbenedion Education Center decided to put this occasion together, and they target successful learning through music.
Parents commended the pupils for the brilliant performances and appreciated the school authority for giving them the opportunity to exhibit their talent.
Wonderful performances by the children, and I'm glad to be here. It's quite interesting. It shows that you can actually learn outside school activity. Children can learn through singing, through music.
Some members of the music club appreciated the management of the school for bringing out the best in them.
Today's event was awesome and it was very exciting and adventurous.
It was great. And I feel wonderful in being in a music club.
I learned that without music, this world would be a blank.
Everybody did well. It was fine.
The event, tagged Successful Learning Through Music, attracted dignitaries including Pastor Angela Charles Igbenedion, amongst others. Ameze Obai Siagbon, reporting.
Edo State House of Assembly has ratified the removal of the Executive Chairman, Asako West Local Government Area, Alhaji Yakubu Musa. This followed recommendation of a panel of inquiry on alleged diversion of funds meant for the salaries of workers in Asako West Local Government Area. The House during plenary also confirmed Justice Esther Edigin as Chief Justice Designate. Kingsley Uchiegbu has details.
The House resolved into a committee of the whole to consider the 11 findings and 5 recommendations of the panel of inquiry on alleged diversion of funds meant for the salaries of workers in Asako West local government area. Reporting progress made at the committee of the whole, the Speaker, Mr. Francis Okie, ratified recommendation 1 of the report of the panel to remove Alhaji Yakubu Musa as chairman Asako West local government area on the grounds of improper accounting, lack of adequate supervision of staff, and allowing fraud of such magnitude at the local government.
Committee of the whole should form part of the recommendation of this honorable house. Honorable colleagues, please say ayes. Aye. Those that are against should say no. The ayes have it. These parts of the law have been complied with, and therefore the Chairman, Asako West Local Government Council, Alhaji Yakubu Musa, is consequently removed from office. This is the position of this House.
The House, upon receipt of a letter from Governor Godwin Obaseki, confirmed Justice Esther Edigin as the Chief Judge Designate of Edo State ahead of the expiration of the tenure of her predecessor, Justice Esoe Bonwe, on November 22. The House also confirmed the Chief Medical Director, Stella Obasanjo Hospital, Dr. Patrick Okundia, as Commissioner Designate in the State Ministry of Health. Chairmen and members of the Local Government Service Commission and Law Reform Commission were also confirmed at plenary, while confirmation of chairman and members of the the State Internal Revenue Services was deferred to Monday to enable members of the Committee on Rules, Business and Government House, as well as Finance, to do a thorough screening of nominees. The members unanimously approved that the confirmed nominees take a bow, while the Speaker, Mr. Francis Okie, directed that clean copies of the resolutions be sent to the Governor for his assent.
Be confirmed as honorable commissioner to the executive governor and the district executive council. The please to say ayes. Aye. The assembly agrees to me. The ayes have it. Consequently, Dr. Patrick Okudia will be confirmed as a civil commissioner into the district executive council.
Meanwhile, the proposed amendment for the 2019 appropriation law passed through first reading at plenary, with second reading scheduled for Monday. Kingsley Uchebu reporting.
A Federal Territory High Court sitting in Buari has dismissed a suit filed by photographer Busola Dakolo against the senior pastor of the Commonwealth of Zion Assembly, Pastor Biodun Fatuimbo. The court also ordered Busola to pay 1 million naira for wasting the court's time. In his ruling, Justice Uthman Musa held that the matter amounts to injustice and an abuse of judicial process, adding that the case is empty and purely sentimental. Justice Musa said the case was aimed more at cruelty than obtaining justice. The court awarded cost of 1 million naira against Busola Dakolo and held that the fine should have been 10 times more because the court's time was wasted. You're watching the World News on Independent Television. Still to come, man dies after being hit by hard objects during protest in Hong Kong. Please stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. At least 28 Afghan nationals have been killed in a crash in Iran. About 21 people were said to have been injured in the collision, and 2 vans crashed into each other near the town of Kash in the southeastern Sistan and Baluchistan province. The area is commonly used by traffickers transporting migrants across the Afghan border, often in desperate, cramped conditions. World Health Organization record says Iran is one of the deadliest countries in the world for road traffic accidents. In May this year, 8 people were killed when a bus carrying 44 people overturned on the Qom-Tehran highway, reportedly because the driver fell asleep at the wheel. And still on a sad note, a man has died in Hong Kong after being hit on the head during clashes between government supporters and protesters. The government said the 70-year-old cleaner was on a lunch break on Wednesday when he was struck by hard objects hurled by masked rioters. Meanwhile, China's President Xi Jinping said Hong Kong's use of what he described as one country, two systems was being challenged. Chinese embassy said Justice Secretary Teresa Cheng was hurt after being jostled by protesters in London. China strongly condemned the incident and called for a thorough investigation. Hong Kong has seen an escalation in violence this week, with intense street battles, violent clashes at universities, and flash mob at lunchtime. Two students aged 16 and 14 have been killed and 3 others injured by gunmen who opened fire at a secondary school in California. Officials said the victims died in a brief and 16 seconds gun attack shortly before classes began on Thursday at Saugus High School in Santa Clarita, north of Los Angeles. The attack came on the 16th birthday of the suspect, named Nathaniel Bellhole. The suspect then shot himself in the head and is in a critical condition. Students and teachers spoke of how they barricaded themselves in classrooms amid chaotic scenes, carrying out an active shooter drill that many schools have implemented in recent years following deadly attacks around the country. Officers found 6 people suffering from gunshot wounds and transferred them to local hospitals. The suspect was later identified as one of the injured. An international inquiry into the downing of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 believes high-level Russian officials were directing separatists in eastern Ukraine linked to the attack. Investigators allege a top aide of President Vladimir Putin was in contact with rebel leaders on a regular basis. Adesuwa Irinohai has details.
All 298 people on board were killed when a missile struck the plane over rebel-held territory on 17 July 2014. Russia's foreign ministry has rejected the latest findings. Spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said international investigators had manipulated the inquiry to suit a predetermined conclusion. Investigators have charged 4 people, including a separatist defense chief. The suspects are due to go on trial, probably in absentia, in April 2020. The Netherlands-based inquiry team have not linked Russia directly to the attack on the plane, but it said intercepted phone calls showed contact with 2 of the 4 suspects already charged with murdering the passengers and crew. While MH17 is not mentioned in the phone taps provided by Ukraine's SBU intelligence, investigators believe Moscow officials knew what was going on the ground and had influence over administrative, financial and military matters in the separatist self-styled Donetsk People Republic. The inquiry has already said the missile launch system came from Russia's 53rd Anti-Aircraft Missile Brigade.
What we zien is dat leiders van de separatisten.
What we see are separatist leaders, almost on a daily basis, were in contact by phone with officials within the Russian government. They use secured phones and unsecured phones. We suspect these have been provided by the Russian intelligence service, FSB.
Adesuwa Irinohai reporting.
Italy has declared a state of emergency in Venice after the Italian city was engulfed by 1.87-meter high water levels, flooding its historic basilica and cutting power to homes. More than 80% of the city, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was underwater when tides were at their highest. Italy's Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte described the flooding as a blow to the heart of our country. He said the government would now act quickly to provide funds and resources. He said the government will accelerate the building of structural defenses for the lagoon city, referring especially to the MOSA project, a hydraulic barrier system to shut off the lagoon in the event of rising sea levels and winter storms. The Prime Minister said an emergency measure has been declared and will be declared on Thursday. The massive bushfires raging across Australia are expected to flare up again as temperatures rise in coming days. 4 people have died from the fires, which are feeding off drought-stricken farmlands and bush. Adesuwa Irinohai has details.
Conditions improved today, but crews were still battling about 120 blazes across New South Wales and Queensland, and authorities have warned that a bank of hot air is expected to sweep across the country, escalating the fires. Temperatures across Western Australia are predicted to hit mid-40 centigrade at the weekend. The fires have razed about 300 homes and burned through over 1 million hectares of land in New South Wales, with little sustained rainfall forecast for the coming months, fire chiefs warned that the fire could burn for weeks and even months. Queensland authorities said they were expecting new fires to break out next week with higher winds and temperatures. They also predicted the roll-in of dry thunderstorms, which could start new fires. He said crews were planning on fighting the fires until January, 7 weeks away, when meaningful downpours had been forecast. New South Wales authorities have issued similar messages. New South Wales Rural Fire Services Deputy Commissioner Rob Rogers said it is heating up early next week, pointing out that fires have threatened both inland rural areas and several populated coastal towns. Adesua Irunuhai reporting.
And now turning to sports, Super Eagles of Nigeria proposed plan to depart the country for Lesotho today for their 2021 African Cup of Nations Group L cracker in Maseru has been postponed due to sporting reasons. The media officer of the team, Toyin Ibitoye, said the Nigerian Football Federation intends to monitor the team's ability to play under a high altitude with little difficulty. The Eagles will now depart the country on a chartered flight to the Southern African nation on the eve of the match. Nigeria will take on Lesotho on Sunday by 5 p.m. And now to end the world news, a look again at our top stories. A man had died in Hong Kong after being hit on the head during clashes between government supporters and protesters. The 70-year-old cleaner was on a lunch break when he was struck by a hard object hurled by masked rioters. And 2 students aged 16 and 14 were killed and 3 others injured by a gunman who opened fire at a secondary school in California. At least 28 Afghan nationals have been killed in a crash in Iran, and about 21 people were said to have been injured in a collision. And that's it on the world news. Thanks for watching. I'm Daisy Obaise. Have yourself a wonderful day.
Independent television news, truly independent.